mind and let the good times roll, you jive turkeys. Thank you.
Nice.
Nice. And I guess my turn to explain why I chose this movie. I chose this movie because I absolutely adore this movie. Like obviously Wes said, it's charming. It has fucking funny acting, funny editing, and an overall good feel to this movie. It's one of those movies for me. Personally, I could rewatch this maybe 5 to 6 times in a year and still look at it the same way. Funny. This movie will never get old for me. I don't know why, but it's just one of those that do it for me. And this is why I chose it. And yeah, dude, this movie is just so hilariously done and for me, well made with its cheesiness. It didn't take itself so seriously. Of course, with the character Black Dynamite, you really shouldn't take yourself so serious. I couldn't see this movie being done in a better fashion. And I could see why it might not be the taste. There's some exploitations in there that are not for everybody. But yeah, dude, this movie for me was hella dope. Hella good time to pick this since we're kind of bummed out from COVID. So I thought it was a good movie to talk about and bring upon the table for Drop the Mic. So yeah, Drop Black Dynamite, dude.
Nice.
What's your guys' takes on Black Dynamite?
I would say, with I want to say this is like a recurring thing. I think in the past even 3 or 4 years, maybe even 5 years, where people are going back to filming on 35 millimeter and really doing like these kind of
gritty,
like
retro
kind of retro, movies. Because I know, like, I told Wesley, I was like, yo, this, like, kind of reminds me of, like, The Love Witch, and because The Love Witch was shot the same way on 35 millimeter. And so, for me, it was like, I had to suspend my disbelief in stuff, for a minute. And it was a good time, bro. I watched it twice already. So that says a lot. So I don't really watch a lot of movies twice again, Yeah.
And and also, dude, not to interrupt you, but dude, you got to give props to Adrian Young, the guy who composed the music for this movie. You got to give mad props to him. That he built, he's a composer, and he built all that just for this movie. And I wish this guy was in a lot more, dude. Adrian Young needs more props because I think he's done 4 movies, and that's about it. And you gotta admit, most of the tracks and the sounds of the movie were very smooth, and for the transitioning, sometimes it was kind of weird and bad, but that's what it is. Like Wes said, it won't be for everybody, but somehow I think the music in this movie really brought it together just as much more, especially for the cheesy acting and the cheesy one-liners, which were also, I thought, were the best parts of the movie as well. But go ahead, Diego. I'm sorry.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that. I think, like I said, this suspending my belief is the best thing I could say, and it's awesome because it gives you a different light. Sometimes, I was thinking about it while I was watching it the second time. I was like, you know what? Sometimes a film doesn't really have to be this great movie that people are going to be so excited to go see. Sometimes it's a movie. It could be just a good time, and that's what it is. And that's ultimately what movies are. Entertainment,
fun. Fun.
Yeah,
and sometimes we forget that.
Yeah, and that's why, that's why sometimes I feel even myself, I was like, man, I feel like a smug, trying to fucking find all the terrible things on this movie, and now I'm like, changing my tune, because it is true. Like, you know, sometimes because we are kind of movie critics, but we do review movies and stuff, and we sometimes just nitpick a lot of stuff from movies, but it just, you know, it's naturally there. But I mean, suspending yourself sometimes in disbelief with certain movies, I feel like it's great, you know, and that's what this movie was.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that it kind of like opened up your shell a little bit towards the more gritty and the more, I guess, non-perfect movies, you could say, like they didn't, you could see like they didn't try, and obviously Wes said that there was a rush time to give that feel. So not many people are with that. Many people are down to wait until a movie's like full on perfected these days. With me, I'm like, if they push it out and somehow it's good that in that fashion, and I think this movie did a real good job at abusing all that shit. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but there was a lot of shit happening in the movie that you wouldn't see in other movies. Like, in one scene, you could see a microphone like almost on Michael Jai White's head, and he's just staring at it.
Oh yeah, the boom mic.
Yeah, dude, there's a lot of shit like that, and I'm just like, that's too hilarious, dude. I have to give that an A+ because so many people want that out, and I'm just like, but you can't really do a Black Dynamite movie without some funny gimmicks, and they used all their gimmicks, I think, really well for this movie specifically.
It's actually this movie is incredibly meta because that kind of weird one-off takes and editing is done completely intentionally because that's how it was. It was so rushed on the set for all of those 70s films that I mentioned earlier. They would really do things like leave those mistakes in there, and they just became part of the whole, like, the gimmick, as Tiny was saying. And so for this movie, at least in 2001, you know, or 2009, a modern take on it to actually mock those mistakes and embrace them and do that themselves is insane. It's like, you know, it's on the par of like what Scream did, you know what I mean? Where it's insane how clever and fun it was. And I think this film it was made for what I think I said $2 million, and it only lasted in theaters for 2 weeks, so it didn't get to make much money back. I'm sure it made a lot of money, hopefully on video though. But
yeah.
The sales matched the budget, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. That's cool enough, you know, because I feel like, you know, these movies sometimes, even though they get a bad rep, like they should be watched either way, you know.
Yeah, it's definitely like an art form, and it's great to see. You know, black cinema is great, and I feel like sometimes people don't pay attention to it the way that they should. So this subgenre is awesome. It reminds me of, like, you know, of why I love like grindhouse pictures, like you know, some contemporary ones like Planet Terror or Hobo with the Shotgun, or even this reminds me of like Kung Fury. You know, that balls to the wall, like, we're gonna have fun with this, and we're not trying to execute it perfectly. It's just supposed to be a silly, fun time, and that's exactly what you feel like when you're watching it. You know what I mean? So it's fun to kind of be able to turn your brain off for a project like this and just have fun, because, like Diego was saying, I think in society and pop culture we forget that films and television are supposed to be, you know, a positive experience where we can kind of let go and have fun. And what are movies? What is television if we're not having a good time while doing it? So, thank you, Tiny, for picking this. It was a breath of fresh air. You know, something like well, you're always picking the fun, like out in left field picks, but it's always great to see what you're going to come up with next. And I definitely thoroughly enjoyed this one. You know, I had seen a few episodes of the Black Dynamite Cartoon Network show, and I never realized that this was that was based on this film. So it was great to kind of watch it, watch this, having seen the TV show first, and kind of put those pieces together, and it was great.
Yeah, with watching the anime, you could see why they got the inspiration, and the anime would explain Black Dynamite more than this would, but it's good to put Black Dynamite in this fashion. And the story, what you guys think about the story? Like, that shit's like getting kind of nuts, right? Like who could elaborate on the story more?
The only thing that I was just like, my God, they actually put a big, chubby guy with a small dick on the screen. And I was just like, and they shot this motherfucker. I was like, do you want to live? I was just like,
he's the only one who drinks the. He's like, you guys got to try this Anaconda malt liquor. It's so good.
The one-liners are too good, dude. Like when they just say something quick, like it's just so good, dude. Shut up, mama. You're gonna wake up the rest of the bitches. So many good one-liners, dude. It's so good. Like so many quotes you could take. Like I don't know, man. This movie was A+ for me, dude. When I watched it, shit. But yeah, the story, dude. Well, we haven't talked about it much more, but so like you already said, Black Dynamite's brother got shot, and it gets more serious than that. That his brother he had drugs on him, and he was on the smack again.
I mean, and it turns out he was actually undercover because he idolized Black Dynamite, his brother, and he was trying to live up to his brother. So in a weird way, Black Dynamite, I feel like he ends up feeling responsible. So he goes after, he's going after everyone, and you kind of go down it follows the familiar beats of the revenge, genre itself. He's going down to the chain of all the people he thinks might have been involved, and you have several fun, wacky action sequences with kung fu, and it's pretty wild.
Gunfighting, and then all the way to the top of the food chain, which ends up being fucking Richard Nixon.
I am not.
But also, you get that good glimpse of kung fu, like real kung fu before Nixon. Like it's a whole chain. Like I love this movie's chain of events. Some of them were random, like how they figured out like the Aries gods and shit. I don't know if you guys caught into that part, but they were like having a discussion about like how Operation Kansas, or was it something Kansas?
Yeah,
and they figured it out with all kinds of other bullshit. And they came up with like who was like behind it all. That I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah,
and it ended up being Dr. Fiendish Wu, dude. That one was dope too.
Like even like that sex scene where they're going through the zodiac signs and shit.
Oh,
I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was like, this shit is fucking funny.
I'm like, I'm a Taurus, dog. I'm like, dude, I'm like...
I was just like, what the fuck? This shit's fucking hilarious, dude. It's almost like, kind of like I want, like, yeah, it reminded me, like, of watching the original Shaft,
Undercover Brother, most types, yeah.
Yeah, like, I was just like, damn, dude. But it's definitely a fun ride. Definitely something you need to experience, Yeah,
it's definitely become, I think, more of a cult classic, and it's going to continue to thrive in that fashion, I think. Even though it's 2009, could we consider it a classic or like a modern day classic?
Yeah, modern day, I feel.
Yeah, because there's not... although there's a few films like this, but